Good morning. This is David George. I'm a co-owner of Creative Care Pharmacy, and this is the Pharmacy Podcast.
This special Pharmacy Podcast series is sponsored by First Financial Bank, leaders in financial expertise, lending, and independent pharmacy business expansion. And now, here's the founder and CEO of Pharmacy Podcast Network and series host, Todd Eury.
Hey, Pharmacy Podcast Network. This is your host and founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Todd Eury. I'm excited today when I get to interview pharmacy owners who are actually out there doing it. You know, when we released the Pharmacy Podcast show before it was known as the network, it was solely based on independent community pharmacy, institutional, long-term care pharmacy, privately owned pharmacy. Part of that was my exploration into what it takes to be successful. So many different facets, so many walls of things that can trip us up, obstacles in our way of being successful and delivering the best healthcare services to our patients, regardless of the setting, specialty, community, long-term care, even hospital setting. One of the pieces of this puzzle of what it takes to be a successful pharmacy operator, owner, someone who is dedicated to the profession, is the world of financing. And as you know from a previous interview, we have a series that's been brought to us by and sponsored by First Financial Bank. Mr. Larry Alexander and I have known each other for years. We put the series together because we wanted to deliver to our audience and to our listeners information about financing, information about capital, using the right, the money for the right reasons in growing your business, securing your business. And I find that topic extremely interesting because I don't know a lot about it. So when I get an opportunity to bring on a pharmacy owner who has experience in this, I want to introduce to the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Mr. David George. Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast.
Todd, thanks for having me.
So let's start out. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and about your pharmacy, where it's located, and how you became a pharmacy owner.
So I am located in Oklahoma, and actually there are 3 pharmacies that we have in Oklahoma. I came about to be an independent pharmacy owner because of a mentor that I met while I was in pharmacy school. I knew once I met him and went to NCPA and experienced everything about independent ownership, and learned as I went along, I knew that one day I'd be an independent owner.
So in the introduction, I was throwing things out there, the obstacles of being a successful pharmacy operator and owner. What do you think is the greatest challenge to running a community independently owned pharmacy today?
Well, I think there are many challenges, but one of the biggest ones is HR. When it comes to dealing with people, I think, there are many dynamics you have to consider, but, getting the right people on your team and getting them excited about doing what they're supposed to be doing in their jobs every day, that can be one of the most difficult things. So getting the right people on board is so important.
I like creativity, innovation, out of the box thinking. The name Creative Care Pharmacy, when Larry sent me over your contact information, really stood out. Why'd you call it Creative Care Pharmacy?
Well, to be honest, we went back and forth. I have a partner at Creative Care named Fong. We went back and forth on the name, but ultimately he was completing a residency and I was in the PhD program. And we thought, well, between our experiences, we would bring something creative to the pharmacy. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Now, it's funny how names come to be. Some things are more thought out than others, but Creative Care to me, if I'm a potential patient or customer driving by, and I drive by the big box stores, which I have no interest in, and I'm looking for an independently, owned and operated pharmacy, and I see the word Creative Care, it's going to make me feel that there's an individualism to that, something that makes it personalized to me. So I like that name.
Well, thank you. It's funny because we'll have people pop in the store and be like, so what makes you creative? So we have to answer that question quite a bit.
So David, we mentioned challenges of owning and operating pharmacies, and you said you have 3. Do you really plan to expand beyond 3? And what do you think, like what are the indicators for growth? That's such a huge question. It could be answered and there's really no wrong answer, but from your opinion, what tells you it's time to grow?
That's a difficult question to answer. 5 years ago, I thought, we were going to have 1 great store. Now we have 4. And I said 3 earlier, I meant 3 in Oklahoma. We own 1 in the state of Washington too. And so basically we've just seized opportunities as they've come along. I heard about the second store that we have while filling a script at the first store. The patient knew the owner. So it's pretty crazy how that all works out. About a year ago, we had 3 stores, all in Oklahoma. And then while at a meeting in DC, I heard about the store for sale in Washington. And I thought, you know what? Why not? So we pursued that store. And First Financial Bank was the entity that helped us with the loan on that one. Moving forward, we want to continue to grow. And I've learned that we don't necessarily have restrictions when it comes to location now. But more importantly, as we grow, we want to become better. We've acquired stores that didn't offer immunizations and compounding and other clinical services. So that not only improves the investment that we've made in our acquisitions, but also provides patients with more care options and higher quality care overall.
Great, we'll be right back. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Your community pharmacy business is more important than you realize. Your employees rely on you. Your patients and customers rely on you. Your community relies on your pharmacy to provide healthcare services they trust because your reputation in the community has stood the test of time. In making a decision, it is important to consider not only your business's current needs, but its potential future aspirations. That's especially true as you consider how you plan to invest in your business over the next few years. Before you start shopping around for a financial partner, consider why you need one in the first place. Are you looking for specialized services such as investment help or a small business loan? Do you understand the amount of monthly cash flow you need? Has your pharmacy business even started yet? Choosing a lender who understands the business of pharmacy is crucial to selecting a true partner for your capital and financial needs. Contact First Financial Bank today and discover a totally different kind of bank who's ready to work with you to help your pharmacy thrive. First Financial's lending team is made up of pharmacists, pharmacy owners, and has a combined 75 years of experience in pharmacy. First Financial Bank. We understand the business of pharmacy. Find out more at ffb1.com.
So even though privately owned pharmacies are under tremendous pressure to be financially successful because of the games that PBMs play in the world of the DIR fees, and I think that's coming to a close, by the way, David. I see reform taking place. I think a lot of attention's been put on it. So I see light at the end of the tunnel, probably for the first time since I started in pharmacy way back in 2004. But you talked to a few banks during the process of deciding who to trust, and different lenders that you discussed different aspects of your business, especially for the new store up in Washington. So in that process, deciding which lender to work with, you chose First Financial Bank. Why was that?
Well, to be honest, when we opened our first store, I had not heard of them. They came by recommendation when we were purchasing our second store. So the bank from our first store was not interested in assisting us with the purchase of the second store, and another bank denied us a loan. So if there are any future owners listening today, just a fair warning, be ready to be denied. It's a part of the process. So we were at a crossroads, unable to purchase this store that we thought was a great one. But then First Financial was recommended. They knew pharmacy, understood the business. They saw that we were interested in a viable store, and they made the deal work. So, of course, after that experience, when it came to buying another store, we had to contact Drew and his team at First Financial.
So, loans, interest rates, how to properly finance something, it's kind of a scary thing for me. And I'm a previous business owner, still a business owner, and I think about stuff like that. So, most pharmacy loans utilize lending programs offered by organizations like the SBA, for example, which has a reputation of being strenuous and complicated. Talk about the experience you had getting an SBA loan through First Financial Bank and what that process was like.
Well, Todd, I think that statement is spot on. There are so many hoops to jump through for an SBA loan, but there can be many advantages as well. So they know the ins and outs. When I say they, First Financial, they know the ins and outs so that we could finalize the deal at hand, but also plan for the future. So they informed us about everything we needed to know about our two current loans that we have with them. They're only 2 years apart, but they've been different. So those differences were mentioned early on during our second deal with them, so we knew what to expect. We've also had numerous discussions with their team about the future. So what are some strategies that we could implement with the SBA loans for growth? So they've definitely made us comfortable with that process.
So it's exciting to hear that you are growing, David, and congratulations in that. That is not easy to do, especially in the temperature and the climate that we're in now in the world of community independently owned pharmacy business. But what's the future plans? What are you looking at to help your 4 stores prosper and grow? What do you think the future holds for not only your organizations, but also independently owned pharmacy throughout the country?
Yeah, if I told you the answer, I'd be lying to you, Todd, because I don't really have an answer. I think there are certain things that we as owners and partners look at for the future of our stores. And right now, the hot topic is value-based networks. So all of our stores are either a part of or trying to join a value-based network. And I think that movement is huge, especially in independent pharmacy, because we as independent pharmacists should be able to implement services that some other pharmacies may not be able to. So we're really excited about that. And that's difficult to do when you're trying to expand the number of stores you have. So managing that, keeping your eyes on those goals while you're doing that. So while you're growing is difficult, but we're trying to keep focused and do that as a team.
So part of strategy and owning a business, from my perspective, especially because I've had some very bad experiences and some very good experiences, is working with partners. And from what I understand, you have other pharmacists that are your business partners. How does that help you in your business as you guys are actively trying to grow your portfolio, but also run and operate your existing business?
I have 3 business partners, and they're all pharmacists. I believe every one of my partners will tell you that each one of us makes the other's job easier. So everyone brings a different strength to the team that we can rely on. Some of us have postgraduate education, residency experience, and other national certifications. So that knowledge can be shared. Is an incredible advantage that we can use as owners. Also, each store that we have is different, and each partner is in a different store. So some of those stores may do more compounding or clinical care or have a larger, more diverse front end. And those experiences are vital to our success. And every day we're texting, calling, messaging each other about, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I know that is huge for getting things done the right way in each of our stores on a daily basis. So I know as we grow, the partners on our team with the variety of knowledge and experience we have will pay off in the end.
So I have an idea of how your relationship with First Financial Bank progresses from the beginning and what that means for your business, injecting the needed capital to grow, buy another store, grow an existing, one of your 4 locations. But tell me about the future of that relationship. What happens, you say, 2 years from now, you have your 4 locations, you're looking at maybe another location. It might become your 5th, 6th location, or even getting into another vertical. You might want to get into specialty pharmacy or something like that, maybe a specific disease state. What do you think First Financial Bank provides that you haven't experienced in other lending institutions?
Well, I know Drew and his team, and I've even talked with Larry some. They're very knowledgeable about the industry, but they're also super easy to talk to. If I send out an email or a phone call to either one of them, they're back in touch with me that same day usually. And they're always super positive, but they're also blunt and will tell you the truth about everything that's going on. So that you're totally prepared for whatever decision you need to make. I know if there's an industry that I want to get into that I'm not familiar with, they can either, teach me about it, throw some knowledge down on me, or send me to the right people so that I can learn about it and dive in. So I'm very, very comfortable contacting them and also recommending them to someone who needs, an institution.
David, it's been a pleasure talking with you today, understanding from your perspective how to work with a financial institution, why you chose the one that you did, and placing your trust in First Financial Bank. And I really appreciate that. Do you have anything in closing that you can share with other listeners who are considering other lending institutions and or are thinking about getting into the business of owning a pharmacy?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to ownership is being persistent. Don't give up. It seems like a daunting task, and it is, but I mean, we made it through pharmacy school. We take care of patients every day. Now you just have to add the business side of it to your daily tasks. And I believe, almost anyone can be an owner as long as they have that drive and that passion. It's doable. So be persistent. But most importantly, get someone on your side that can help you. And I believe First Financial Bank is one of those partners that, is huge to have on your team.
David George, co-owner of Creative Care Pharmacy. Thanks so much for participating in the Pharmacy Podcast Network, being on the show and sharing your insights about First Financial Bank. I appreciate it.
Todd, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network's Pharmacy Business Series, sponsored by First Financial Bank. To gain an advantage in your pharmacy business's needs for growing, expanding, selling, or financial strategy, reach out to the First Financial Bank's pharmacy business team. Go to ffb1.com and contact Larry Alexander for more information, or Google FFB1 Pharmacy. That's FFB1 Pharmacy. We thank First Financial Bank for sponsoring this Pharmacy Podcast Network Pharmacy Business Series. Be sure to listen to other pharmacy podcasts on the network and stay tuned for other First Financial Bank podcasts coming soon.